Al-Dalanj is one of the largest cities in oil-producing South Kordofan province on Sudan's southern border. Greater Kordofan has become the latest center of fighting since the RSF captured Al-Fashir, the army's last holdouts in the western Darfur region, in October. More than 2,500 people have been displaced from South Kordofan since then, according to the UN's Human Rights Office. During a visit to Sudan last week, the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights warned Sudanese and RSF officials to ensure that crimes committed during and after the takeover of Al-Fashir are not repeated in South Kordofan. Residents who fled Al-Dalanj before Monday described witnessing drone and artillery attacks, echoing accounts from Al-Fashir during the RSF siege. Their accounts could not be immediately confirmed.
The Rwandan government is claiming it is owed £100 million by the UK over payments due under an asylum agreement cancelled by Prime Minister Sir Keir Starmer. Rwanda has filed an international arbitration case arguing the UK has breached the terms of the deal to send some asylum seekers to the East African nation. Under the deal, which was signed by the previous Conservative government, the UK agreed to make payments to Rwanda to host asylum seekers who had arrived illegally in Britain. In a statement, Rwanda's government said it had decided to pursue claims in arbitration after facing the UK's intransigence on these issues. A Home Office spokesperson said the previous government's Rwanda policy wasted vast sums of taxpayer time and money. The Rwandan government statement said it was making 3 claims in relation to the Migration and Economic Development Partnership, which was signed in 2022 when Boris Johnson was Prime Minister. The statement accuses the UK of breaching the deal by setting out the financial terms of the agreement publicly, failing to make payment totaling £100 million and refusing to make arrangements to resettle vulnerable refugees from Rwanda. As part of the partnership, the UK had agreed to resettle a small number of vulnerable refugees who were already being hosted in Rwanda and had not been sent there from Britain. In 2022, the Home Office said this was expected to amount to tens of cases involving people who have complex needs such as acute health problems. The previous Conservative government spent some £700 million on the Rwanda policy, which was intended to deter migrants from crossing the English Channel in small boats. Only 4 volunteers arrived in Rwanda when the deal was in force, and Sir Keir said the plan was dead and buried shortly after Labour won the 2024 general election. The deal included a break clause which said each party may terminate this agreement by giving notice to the other party in writing.
The leader of a Kenyan court accused of encouraging his followers to starve themselves to death will be charged over a further 52 deaths at another village. Self-proclaimed Pastor Paul Mackenzie was arrested in 2023 after 429 bodies, including children, were dug up from mass graves in the remote Shakahola forest. He has been in custody since his arrest and has been accused of luring the latest victims to their deaths by writing notes from his prison cell. Mr. Mackenzie has pleaded not guilty to multiple counts of manslaughter. The Office of the Director of Public Prosecution said in a statement that it had received the go-ahead to formally charge Good News International Church leader Paul Ntenge Mackenzie and his co-accused over the deaths of 52 people at the Benzaro homestead in Cliffy County. Prosecutors say Mr. Mackenzie was reasonably suspected to have masterminded the incident and has used radical teachings and coordinated structures to lure victims to the remote village. They said investigations recovered handwritten notes from prison cells occupied by Mr. Mackenzie, allegedly detailing transactions conducted through mobile phones. The prosecutors said Mr. Mackenzie and others will be charged with various offenses including radicalization, facilitation of terrorist acts, and murder over the more recent killings, in addition to the initial charges related to the mass graves found in the forest of Shakahola. Last year, around 34 bodies and more than 100 body parts were discovered by investigators in Benzaro, around 30 kilometers from Shakahola along the Indian Ocean coast. This is what led to the latest charges. They came 2 weeks after one of his co-accused and the former head of security at Shakahola, Enos Amanya Ngala, pleaded guilty to charges related to the deaths of 191 children found in the original mass graves. Survivors say children were supposed to be the first to starve themselves, according to a macabre order drawn by Mr. Mackenzie. Women, men, and last of all, church leaders. Mr. Mackenzie set up his Good News International Church in 2003, but said he had closed it in 2019. He encouraged his followers to move to Shakahola Forest and prepare for the end of the world to meet Jesus. He preached that formal education was satanic and used to extort money. In 2017 and again in 2018, he was arrested for encouraging children not to go to school, as he claimed education was not recognized in the Bible. The authorities have faced criticism over the discovery of the mass grave, with accusations that the deaths could have been prevented had there been tougher regulation. The American streamer and YouTuber IShowSpeed is on the final leg of a 28-day tour of Africa aimed at showcasing the continent's cultural diversity, which is often overshadowed by images of poverty and violence. During a stop in Botswana, he said he has done so many incredible things in his life, but this trip is different. He said it opened his eye and added that Africa is not what he thought. The 20-nation tour across Southern, Eastern, and North Africa began in Angola in late December. He attended the Africa Cup of Nations final in Morocco on January 18, then visited Senegal celebrating the national soccer team's victory with fans, and Nigeria, where he passed 50 million YouTube subscribers and marked his 21st birthday. On Monday, he visited Ghana trying jollof rice, meeting a traditional ruler and receiving a message at the Shea Butter Museum. The content creator, whose real name is Darren Watkins Jr., said upon arriving in Ghana that he is back home. There is no better feeling, revealing that his ancestry traces to the West African country. He arrived on Tuesday in Namibia, likely the tour's final stop. For his Speed Does Africa series, Watkins streamed live on YouTube. In videos lasting up to 9 hours, he sampled local dishes, learned traditional dances, and challenged athletes, often shouting in excitement. Large crowds of his followers swarmed him at many of his destinations. IShowSpeed has more than 50 million YouTube subscribers, 45 million Instagram followers, and 47 million on TikTok. He has built his brand on loud, exaggerated, and sometimes aggressive reactions that became his online persona, but also sparked controversy. In 2022, he was banned from a professional online gaming competition after a sexist outburst against a female player, and briefly suspended from YouTube for showing sexual content in a video game.